Mike, it started with a Facebook post from Erie City Council President Jasmine Flores saying that, quote, red hat followers are racist. So tonight, some community members showed up at council wearing red hats while voicing their displeasure over the post.
I do have the right to request your resignation.
How about an apology?
I'm hearing none, so we'll be moving on.
A contentious and even at times testy city council meeting.
I'm sorry, is this something else?
Erie County residents made their feelings known following a Facebook post from Erie City Council President Jasmine Flores, where she said, quote, the red hat is the new white hoods for the KKK.
I still stand where I stand. I posted what I posted. It's my free speech and it's protected. I find it interesting that one side likes to spit all kinds of hatred and rhetoric for their speech being free, but then when another person does it, it's not the same.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Once again, we got to talk about the hate and vitriol that is being promoted in this country from the left, okay? And this time we have to talk about a local news story out of Erie City, Pennsylvania, in which City Council President Jasmine Flores thought that it would be a good idea to go on Facebook and to basically declare 90% of Trump supporters to be racist and compare them to the KKK. In fact, she went as far as to say that the new white hoods for the KKK are red hats, right? Red MAGA hats. This is what the city council president of Erie City said on Facebook. Quote, about 90%, if not more, of you red hat followers need to be honest with yourselves and acknowledge that white hood you all own or were raised to own because of your sick family history. Wait, hold on now. I didn't know that the red hat was the KKK hat. Let me make sure I put on my KKK hood, right? Okay, because apparently that makes you a white supremacist, right? You are a racist. And if you are a person of color, you need to stop hating yourself and find your roots because you are lost and your assimilation is showing and you are embarrassing the rest of us who have educated ourselves on the real Americans' history with all its bloodshed and slaughter for black and brown people, right? So I guess that being that I'm a so-called person of color, I guess I hate myself, right? I hate myself and I need to find my roots. According to this individual, right? That red hat is the new white hoods for the KKK, and I want to be wrong, but when people show you who they are, you have to believe them. Yeah, so she said this on Facebook, okay, and essentially this has gotten a whole lot of backlash from Trump supporters in this town, okay? They decided to squad up. They said, okay, bet. You said we're racist. We about to pull up, right? And they pulled up deep. In fact, it's called the Red Hat Protest, right? That's what they did, right? They pulled up with the MAGA hats and they let this woman know that they do not appreciate her comments and that she should resign. So I want to go ahead and play some clips here so you guys can get the gist of kind of what happened during this city council meeting. And then I'm going to play the news clip to give you guys more details. But I want to play some of these raw clips so you guys can see how heated the Trump supporters were because they have every right to be upset and to demand that this woke woman and the rest of the city council as well, too, who seem to be defending her, resign immediately. Take a look.
You are an elected official. I do have the right to request your resignation. You were 100% out of line on Facebook. Granted, you want to call it your personal page. When you have that seal, you are held at a higher standard. And you do not hold that standard. You sit there while everybody else is talking. I watch you tip your head and look up, down your glasses, down your nose at people. You aren't any better than me. You aren't any better than anybody sitting out here. Not one stinking person out here. How dare you? What do you know about white hoods and KKK?
Not during chamber. We're here to conduct business, and you guys are a distraction.
We are conducting business. We're
here to
asking
conduct
for
business,
your
and you are acting like
resignation.
children.
Your resignation.
Chuck.
We are asking for your resignation. You were out of line. You do not hold the standard that you should be holding. You are to represent everybody, every demographic, and every level of income. That is your job as the elected official. I asked the city council, you ask her to resign. You take her out of the position she has. She has fouled the entire council by her opinion and her remarks.
Don't you dare hide behind some bullshit comment that it was you made a statement on your private page. You called me a Nazi sympathizer. My family was victim to the Nazis. It's not your place. You're rude, you're ignorant, and you defended her. You defended her to me. You, sir, you use the pronouns they, them. We the people. We call for your resignation tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night. I will be removed.
I stand here with my nerves racked as a young black woman in the city over people who are not of color telling another woman of color what she can and can't call racist. When I'm sitting here, and I'm not calling you racist.
We have a speaker.
I'm not calling you racist, but it's a hard argument to make when Stephen Miller, a white supremacist, has been elected or nominated to that position. Hegsta has been nominated as Secretary of Defense, a known white nationalist. And as a young black woman in this city, it's extremely upsetting to hear this rhetoric and this angry targeted at a young Latina woman. And that's not even what I'm here to talk about. Like I said, racism is meant to distract from the issues, and instead of focusing on the issue of housing discrimination, housing disrepair, housing abuse, instead, what connects us to each other, the suffering of working class people, instead you are attacking people like myself, people up here. And I just want to say it's disgusting and abhorrent. And I have the right, she has the right, we all have freedom of speech, at least for now. At least for now. In this country, and as a citizen,
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, you seen that, you heard that. Now, before I get into it, I want to go ahead and play this news clip here so you guys can learn a little bit more about what's going on in this situation. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Evening, a recent Facebook post from Erie City Council's president made for a rowdy scene at tonight's meeting.
Tyler Gallagher was there at City Hall. He joins us now here in the studio with much more on what was said. Tyler.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Dozens of Trump supporters filled City Council chambers tonight, calling for Council President Jasmine Flores to resign. On October 28th, City Council President Jasmine Flores made a post on her personal Facebook page accusing 90% of Trump supporters of being racist, even comparing them to the KKK. And many local Trump supporters took offense to that comment.
I just think it's disgusting because when she is calling people who wear red hats the KKK without actually getting to know us, without taking the time to talk to us and understand our positions, it's actually racism.
After the city council president made some comments on Facebook comparing Trump supporters to the KKK, dozens of supporters came out to the city council meeting tonight in their red hats, and some even wearing shirts that say "Red Hats, not White Hoods."
Well, what this is showing that, yeah, we're wearing red hats, but we are not members of the KKK. It's okay to think what you want to think and to post what you want to post, but when you're an elected county official or a city official, you're held to a much higher standard.
Ding, 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 ding. That's essentially what this story is about. This woman is claiming that, well, I can say whatever I want because it was on my private page. And she is right about that, right? Her capacity as a private citizen, she has the right to express her views. However, as the city council president, she needs to understand that you are held to a higher standard. And while you did not say that in your capacity as city council president, that still is a reflection of your views, which calls into question whether or not you are qualified to be sitting in the position that you're in right now. Because clearly, you have hate and animosity towards a group of people who you disagree with politically, which means that you're not going to be impartial, you're not going to be fair, you're not going to be acting in the best interest of everybody that you're supposed to represent, right? That's the problem. Now, if the roles were reversed, what do you think this woman would be saying, right? If you had a white male leader of a city council and he went on Facebook and said that 90% of Kamala Harris supporters are, I don't know, racist or bad people, whatever the equivalent of what she said was, right? If that was said by somebody who was white, do you think that she would be coming out here talking about, well, he's a private citizen, he can say whatever he wants? No. What she would be saying is that, no, that person has to be held to a higher standard. You cannot come out here and to smear people like that you're supposed to represent, right? It's extremely unprofessional and is something that is beneath somebody that is holding public office. Now, we've done a ton of stories about these type of things. Like, for example, you've had judges that were fired that lost their jobs because they said the N-word, right? And here's the thing. I don't think that what this woman said about Trump supporters is that far off from basically calling them the N-word, right? I don't think it's that far off. So again, if you had a white city council president calling black Kamala Harris supporters the N-word, what do you think the reaction would be, right? Everybody would agree unanimously that that person should resign, regardless of whether or not they said it in their personal capacity. Because again, we have covered these stories where you have had judges who will say things in their own personal capacity and there will cause to resign. They actually had to resign because when you put out those types of opinions as somebody in elected office, right, that's supposed to be impartial, that shows that you are biased, okay? And that you cannot do that job without letting your personal feelings get in the way of you doing what's best for the people, okay? And when you're talking about a city council president, the decisions that she makes on a day-to-day basis directly affect the lives of these people. So they have every right to be upset. Every right to be upset. So, this type of stuff is still prevalent in this country, unfortunately. A vast majority of the hate and division comes from the left. And we're seeing it once again. We're seeing it once again.
Some Trump supporters in attendance took to the podium for some passionate remarks for the council president, calling for her resignation. And even after public comment wrapped up, some attendees got into an altercation with security needing to get involved. But Flores stands by her Facebook comments, saying she will not be resigning from her position.
I stand by what I said. You see something, you say something. If I made them uncomfortable because of what I said, maybe you need to readdress how you guys are approaching the community at large. The City of Erie voters elected me at large within city limits, and I will not disrespect them by leaving my seat. I will be running for re-election.
And Council President Flores says the behavior at the county council chambers tonight was unacceptable. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah, so again, the hypocrisy here is amazing, right? Her behavior on Facebook is totally acceptable, right? Smearing 90% of Trump supporters as racist and basically saying that they are the KKK, okay? Which in my opinion is extremely inappropriate, but she wants to get mad and say private citizens who are not elected officials expressing that outrage and anger over what she said. Oh, well, that's inappropriate, right? That's too far. These people make me sick. They make me sick. Can't stand them. Can't stand them. So with that being said, this woman said this in response to the joke from the comedian at the Trump New York City Madison Square Garden rally. Okay, Tony Hinchcliffe. That's why she said it. Okay, and it happened before the election, and just now they're having a city council meeting where Trump supporters are coming out and saying we don't appreciate the fact that you said this. And here's the thing: although, at least as of right now, they may not be able to force this woman to resign. I hope they can. I hope that they keep up the pressure, right? That they launch a full-scale campaign to get her to resign, because I believe that city, the city council is a majority Democrat. So this is a Democrat-run city. But the county as a whole is red. In fact, you can see that Erie County, which is actually a pretty key county in this election, right, in the state of Pennsylvania, it flipped red for Trump. Trump had about 50% of the vote. Kamala had about 49%. I believe Biden won this county in 2020. So yeah, I can imagine that the city is probably pretty blue, and the outside areas of the city, right, around the city, the county as a whole, there are a lot more Trump supporters. So again, I'm not sure if there's much they can do in regards to actually forcing her to resign. But what I would do, okay, if I was a Trump supporter in this city, right, I would try to get every single Trump supporter I can find in the city that lives within city limits, right, that is eligible to vote for city council, to come out in droves in order to defeat this woman in the next election. There has to be a full-scale campaign to vote this woman out. In fact, the whole city council should be voted out, because if they had any integrity whatsoever, they will realize that no, this is unacceptable. That we cannot have somebody that is president that will say something like that about her constituents, regardless of her political opinions, regardless of their political opinions. That is not appropriate for an elected official. Okay, it's not appropriate. So, clearly you can see Democrats have no integrity. A lot of these Democrats are unhinged. I mean, we talked about some of these Democrats in Pennsylvania that are out here saying, you know what, we don't care about the state Supreme Court saying that we can't count these ballots. We're going to count them anyways, right? Just because we're mad and we're upset. Okay. And again, these people, they have to be voted out, man. And I believe it can be done, but there has to be a full-scale organizational effort behind it, right? Especially in these deep blue cities. You got to get everybody you can that is a Trump supporter, or just a decent person, really, right? Because again, a decent person, regardless of your political beliefs, should agree that people like her should not be in office. Okay, so you got to get all these people to come out and to vote against her, okay, so that she can lose her job, right? And there has to be pushback against this stuff at the local level, right? There's a lot more work to be done. A lot of these Democrats at the local level, they're more unhinged than the Democrats at the national level, to be honest with you. And she's one of them. She's one of them, and they have no business being in those positions of power. And again, this is something in which the people are going to have to organize in order to put up a candidate that can defeat her and the rest of the city council as well, too. So shout out to these Trump supporters for showing up and making their voices heard peacefully. And I personally believe they should keep up the pressure, right? They should continue to demand that this woman resign. Okay, because ultimately in the day, you cannot have people like that with her viewpoints, that type of hatred towards individuals in office. You just can't have it. Again, we know if the roles were reversed, if it was flipped, what they would be saying, right? So in this case, again, people like her, they have no business being in office. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.